Good morning, members, and welcome to this meeting of the Wigtown Divisional Licensing Board. Good morning to the members and officers. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing through the Licensing Board's webpage. Remote participants, please follow the good practice guidance. I think we all know what the good practice guidance is, but I'll go briefly through it. Muting microphones when you're not on. Write and speak in the Teams chat. Please don't repeat any contributions. No material should be posted in the chat function. That is intended for debate. The usual standing orders apply, and that any votes will be taken under roll call. All members should speak clearly and directly into the microphone when making contributions. And please refer to the page number or the article in the report when you are making a point. Please focus contributions on areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. And today, members, I'll go to item number 1, the sediment and apologies. Clerk, can you provide us with a sediment and any apologies, please?
Thank you, Convener. If I may, just to ensure, can I check, is Councillor Dashper here?
Councillor Dashper, I believe, is an apology.
Thank you. And Councillor Hill?
I can see Councillor Hill on the screen.
Hi.
Councillor Hill. So we have one apology, Convener, with Councillor Dashper. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
And it's just approving members' remote participation.
Yeah. So, and I approve members' remote participation. So, item number 2, any declarations of interest, members? With no hands, I'll accept that as there's no interest. Item number 3, the minutes of the meeting, 16th of December 2022. Can we approve these minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of December? I'm happy to approve.
Yeah, happy to approve.
That's great, Dave. Thank you. Item number 4, minute of the meeting, 24th of January 2023. Can we approve these? I'll happy to move.
Seconded.
Happy.
Thank you, Davey and Chrissy. I'm moving on to item number 5, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for occasional licences and extended hours granted under the delegated authority. Report by the clerk to the board. This item is for noting and gives details of the number of occasional licences and extended hours granted under delegated authority for the period the 8th of December 2022 to the 13th of March 2023. Are members happy to note this?
Noted.
Happy to note.
Well, that's as noted. Item number 6, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for minor variations granted under delegated authority. Report by the clerk to the board. This item is for noting and gives details of minor variation applications granted under delegated authority since the last board meeting. Are members happy to note this?
Happy to
Noted.
note.
Thank you. Item number 7, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for surrender of premises licence gambling granted under delegated authority. Report by the clerk to the board. This item is for noting and gives details of the surrender of a betting premises licence granted under delegated authority. Are members happy to note this?
Noted.
Noted, Chair.
Thank you, members. Item number 8, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, application for variation of premises licence. The Lighthouse Bar, Sands of Luce, Holiday Park, Stranraer. Report by the clerk to the board. Clerk, could you please go through the procedure and the report, please?
Yes, of course, Convener. Thank you. It is indeed an application for a major variation in respect of Lighthouse Bar, Sands of Luce, Holiday Park in Stranraer. I do believe you have all been sent via email the written representation submitted by the premises licence holder, just to ensure, members, that you do have those written representations in front of you, because the applicant, I understand, is not attending this morning's hearing, though my understanding is that he does indeed have an authorised representative available via telephone call should you have any questions. So in terms of the actual application, it was received on the 16th of February 2023. Details of the application are appended at Appendix 1 to the report. The licensing team have gone through the statutory consultation process, and in relation to the website, the site notice, the dates of display were the Tuesday, the 21st of February to Wednesday, the 15th of March 2023. Contrary to what paragraph 2.5 of the report states, I can confirm that signed confirmation of site notice has indeed been received. The last date for objections and representations was Tuesday the 14th of March 2023, and no objections or representations have been received in relation to the application. The LSO report is detailed at Appendix 2 to this report, and the Police Scotland have advised no adverse comments in relation to the application. So members, you may just wish to hear from the police in terms of procedure, from the LSO who's present today to speak to her report. In relation to the application itself, I would ask that you read and peruse and digest the terms of the written representation submitted by the applicant. If you do have any questions, I understand, as I've said, there is an authorised representative, Mr Jack Cooper, who will be able to take any questions from yourselves. And thereafter, once you have devoured the terms of the written representations and any questions to Mr Cooper, I would suggest that you thereafter go into session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. Can I invite the police to give us their thoughts on this one, please?
Good morning, convener. It's Hugh McComb from Police Scotland. Yeah, as per the report, we have got no further adverse comments, and no police objection to bring to this hearing.
Thanks for that, Hugh. Julia, can I bring you in, please?
Yes, thanks, convener. Just members might be aware of this caravan site. It's expanded in recent years, and along with the expansion of extra caravans, they have expanded the Lighthouse Bar by the addition of these 2 outdoor drinking areas. As far as I can tell, it's been completed to a high standard. There's been no issues. It has been trading under occasional licences throughout COVID, and this was the main reason behind the application today. They've also applied to add on the festive hours, which is in line with the board's policy. There was a slight issue with the notice not being posted to the outside of the premises, but this was moved, and I don't see this as being a major problem at all. Apart from that, I've got no adverse comments.
Thank you, Julia. So, on my notes here, we're to note written representations from the applicant, and do the members have any questions? Oh, Councillor Ingalls, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I have no issues with this application. The concern I have is that the seating area borders the road going in and out, and I don't know whether it's up to us to look at that or whether that's a planning issue, but there doesn't seem to be any barrier or anything to prevent drinkers or kids or whatever running out onto the road there. I don't know, maybe we could take governance advice on this one. Yeah, I'm just wondering whether that's something that we have influence over, Caroline.
Thank you, Councillor Ingalls. Caroline?
Yes, thanks for that comment, Councillor. In relation to kind of like having, if you were minded that in terms of public safety, you wish to erect a kind of like a barrier to prevent individuals from going onto the road, you certainly have the power to do so in terms of a condition. The only issue in my mind would be that because the applicant is not present at this morning's hearing, he would not be able to make comment in relation to that, perhaps a suggested condition, although we do have, as I understand it, his authorised representative, Jack Cooper. My thoughts are that, yes, you do have the legal power to attach a condition in terms of, you know, the erection of a barrier, etc., although it would have to be a very specific condition, but the applicant is not with yourselves this morning to comment on whether he would be happy to accept that condition.
Thank you, Caroline. Could I invite Julia in to give us an opinion on this one? Because Julia will have been to the site.
Yeah, thanks, convener. I don't know whether Councillor Ingalls has picked this up from my photographs. It might be quite deceiving, actually. The road goes to the front of the building, so there's no actually any outdoor drinking. It is a very slow moving road. It's just for access to people to their caravans. I don't see any issue personally with the site or the two areas, but as I say, it might be my photographs that's made it a wee bit deceptive.
Thank you, Julia. Does that answer your question, Councillor Ingalls?
Yeah, I know there are other licensed premises in our wards, Ward 1 and 2, that have outside drinking areas that don't have that roadside protection. There's 158 extra spaces for drinkers at this venue. So it was really just an observation, and it's likely to be families and what have you that's there. So, but listen, I don't want to be obstructive here. I just felt it was worth noting that, there could be a lot of people outside there during the summer with children on the side of that entry and exit to the caravan site.
Absolutely,
Thanks,
Councillor
Chair.
Ingalls. A very worthwhile question. Councillor Hagman.
Thank you, convener. Yeah, no, I think it's, I mean, I've read through the report and there's no concerns raised from any of the parties. I guess it's just a question really about the occasional licensing, and I think it's to be welcomed. I know that sometimes we do encourage businesses after X amount of occasional licenses, and Julia, you mentioned there that there had been quite a number. How many licenses has there been in the last, say, 12 months, and has there been any, I'm assuming that because there's no adverse responses, there hasn't been any adverse issues in terms of that. But do we have a number of how many occasional licenses has been granted?
Julia?
I don't have that figure, but it was just during the summer months. I could get that figure quite easily if members were minded to get that. I mean, I'm happy to take this forward with the operator at the premises, but the board had these concerns. If members would like me to do that, I'm quite happy to do that.
Thanks, Julia. Does that help you any, Katie? Councillor Hagman, sorry.
No, you're right. You can call me Katie. It's fine. Yeah, no. I mean, well, obviously we don't have the number there. I mean, are we talking 1 or 2 or 5 to 10? Just a rough ballpark figure would be quite useful if we do have that. Just so I've got a bit of understanding. I don't need the exact figure, and I wouldn't ask you to go away, but just a sort of a ballpark figure if you did have.
From memory, I think there would be in the region about 10 for 2-week periods at a time.
Right, okay, so that's quite significant. No, that's really helpful. Thank you. Thanks, convener.
Thanks for that. I'm back to the clerk to sum up, if all the members have asked their questions.
Chair, can that be taken on board that the LSO speaks to the premises holder, the owner of the premises, just to highlight the fact that, there's going to be 158 plus people out there on a really hot summer's day with kids, and he tests on a corner and he tests on the side of the entrance road, just so that he's aware that, it might be prudent to have some signage even. Yeah, if there's not enough room for a barrier, I think it might be worth just flagging that up.
I think that's worthwhile, Councillor Ingalls. Can we have that added to the note, please, of the item that we would like? We've raised a concern, and although we're not conditioning it, we would like the applicants to use their own discretion with that one, please.
I don't think it's a concern. It's merely an observation that, he really should be aware of it.
Thank you, Councillor Ingalls. Is that competent, Caroline?
Yes, of course, conveners. Julia, our excellent LSO, as always, has said she can take that up with the applicant. But that's okay with you, Julia, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Do you want me to report back by email to board members?
Yes, please. So can I pass over to Caroline to sum up then, please?
So just for clarity, where we're actually at, you've read and digested the terms of the written representations, convener, and you have to go into session and make that decision prior to me confirming whatever decision you make as a board. Thank you.
All right, sorry, Caroline, that's not my note here. So members, were in session.
Happy to grant this.
I'm happy to grant as well, Councillor Ingles.
Yeah, happy to grant as well.
Thank you for that. So, Caroline, I think we're in unanimous agreement to grant this application.
That's noted, convener, thank you. So the application has unanimously been granted in its entirety today, and the applicant will be advised in writing of that decision with the revised premises licence sent to him in early course, and it's noted that Julia, our LSO, will take up the matters that you raised in relation to the safety and the barriers, etc., and Julia will also report back to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. So, members, now we're on to item number 9. And that is Licensing Scotland Act 2005, Section 12A, Chief Constable's Annual Report 2021 to 2022, report by the Clerk to the Board. Clerk, can you please go through this report?
Thank you, convener. So in terms of Section 12A of the Licensing Scotland Act 2005, the Chief Constable is statutorily obliged as soon as reasonably practical after the financial year to send yourselves as a board a report setting out the matters that are specified in paragraph 2 of the report before yourselves. So you're being asked to accept the Chief Constable's annual report and note its terms, but of course we have Chief Inspector Hugh McComb here to read through that report if you so desire, and also ask questions to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Hugh, would you like to add anything else to this report?
Yeah, thank you, convener, and members. It's a privilege to be here this morning to present the Chief Constable's report to you for the year 2021-2022. I'll probably summarise a bit of the report and then invite any questions from the floor round about it. I think in general terms, I would probably need to kind of take you back to that landscape of 2021-2022. We were still going through the roadmap of COVID recovery, and obviously going into this year and up to the current date, continuing out that, which was a challenging time for all our local premises, on sales, off sales, and all our partners and myself, we really took cognizance of. To probably summarise the Wigtownshire board area, and for your own board area, is in general a very, in my opinion, and I think the report will support this, a relatively safe place to consume alcohol, have meals within licensed premises, and we're not complacent. We do look at various areas that we continue to improve on and collaborate with our partners to try and provide as safe an environment for our citizens as we can for that. So for that, I also thank yourselves for all the help and cooperation you have given to Police Scotland working within the board area for that. Going through the report, this report obviously supports the local board objectives and supports the local priorities that we have in the Wigtownshire area and overall Dumfries and Galloway area. That is obviously violent crime, disorder, antisocial behaviour, acquisitive crime for any dishonesty crime, substance misuse, and ultimately protecting vulnerable people. What we do is our approach to licensed premises overall in Dumfries and Galloway is very similar. We try and have the right amount of people at the right places at the right time. For obvious reasons, there is some times that present more risk than others. I would probably say that during the evenings, nighttime economies is when we really need to have a nighttime economy plan to try and ensure public safety as best we can. We'd look to be proactive within licensed premises, on sales and off sales, not a reactive service. Ultimately, we do need to intervene reactively sometimes, but proactively, we want police officers to be seen. We want to be seen to be supporting our premises. We want to be seen to be engaging with them. We want to be seen to be informing them, educating and enforcing if we need be. But I would like to be enforcing at a last resort, as I'd like to be engaging and preventing as well. Anything that we do, obviously, as well as we work closely with yourselves, with all of, we have a very good relationship with our partners in the council, the LSOs. We encourage joint visits if we see a trend developing, and continue to look for cooperation and continue to improve what we do. I do say that it's a relatively safe area, but we're not complacent. That's why we try and make it as safe an area as we can to avoid complacency. I'll just kind of take you through the report for various things that we did during this year and a lot of work that we've continued over into this year. One of the matters that came quite into national prominence, which we again didn't allow us to be complacent, was spiking within licensed premises. We don't have a major issue with it in the Wigtownshire area or Dumfries and Galloway as a whole. We don't have volume of numbers of people reporting this. However, that doesn't take away the fact that we need to be doing everything within our powers and ability to prevent it happening. We've worked closely with the LSOs as well and the premises producing anti-spiking kits. They were primarily effective over the busier periods and the festive period and continue to be rolled out. These are kits that we were procured locally and rolled out nationally, which basically protects vessels and any containers from being spiked should drinks need to be left unattended. We also caveat that with regular education, public messaging, using our social media channels if need be, and just for high visibility policing presence as often as we can be to advise the public on that. So that's a lot of work that we continue to carry out and certainly continues to be a priority moving forward. The COVID-19 pandemic is obviously, as we spoke about, you know, that has left various legacies where the landscape of our premises changed, moving from a lot of busier periods to table service. We again supported our colleagues and collaborated, particularly around about our colleagues in health and the local authority to support our premises during really difficult times, which we obviously know that we're now getting out of, and we continue to provide that level of support. Our role during that time was again about what we called the 4 E's, and that was about engaging, educating, encouraging people to comply with the regulations and only enforcing as a last resort. But by the time we were getting to this period, we were starting to move out of the COVID restrictions. Moving forward for some problem solving, in a whole, we have, I would say, a high compliance with our premises in the area, and I thank everyone for that, including all the premises licence holders, designated premises managers, and all people involved in the hospitality industry in Wigtown. We don't have any premises at the moment that we would deem as problematic. You do know as a board that we have brought premises for review for various matters, but on the whole, we have a really good partnership with all of our premises in the area, and we will be committed to continuing that in the future. Should we want to solve problems, and the key for us is if we see things early enough, we see trends developing, we want to work with premises holders. We want to communicate. If we're saying we're monitoring, we will increase our inspections at certain peak times. If we need to increase again, we will intervene. And then at the last stage, if we're looking for licence reviews, we will put them to a problematic stage. But at the moment, we are in a very good place with all the premises in the area for that. Just moving on to the actual area itself, there was 37 offences in 2021-22. Sorry, there was 44. Apologies for that. There was 44 for 2021-22. You can see there the drop in 2021. That is solely down to the pandemic, the lockdowns, the less footfall. In 2019-20, there was 42. So 42, 21 and 44 for the last 3 years. The reason I said the number 37, that this is not official, but this is a projection about where we are sitting for the last 12 months, because I appreciate as members, I'm providing a report that finishes last year, and you want to know, well, what's it like this year? It's a very similar position this year from last year as well. Incidents and crimes in licensed premises, again, can really vary from assault, minor, more serious, dishonesty, breach of the peace, threat and abusive. That is most of your common crimes within licensed premises. But I'm delighted to say that in terms of serious criminality in licensed premises, I've got no issues to report in this report for the Wigtownshire and Bord area. Just moving on, we always look at risks, and particularly the sale and supply of alcohol to young people and under 18s. We've got various work that we do through our schools officers that are based in all of our secondary schools and visit primary schools in the Wigtownshire Bord area. We provide various education pieces about substance misuse, substance harm reduction, and particularly alcohol for that. So there's a lot of education that we do. Moving into the area, all of our officers are brief and very aware of the risk around about off sales. Off sales are built into patrol plans. Should they see any youngsters near to off sales, they're encouraged to engage and certainly try and divert them away from sourcing any alcohol. I'm not saying again that we have no issues. Antisocial behaviour is an issue everywhere that we continue to tackle, but that we look for diversionary pieces as well to try and move people away from antisocial behaviour. That then brings me on to the next page of the report, in page 10, and that's a specific piece of work to Stranraer, where over the summer months, where there was a big risk of alcohol consumption from off licences, the community team from Stranraer done a fantastic piece of work and a diversionary piece where they carried out some football activities within the 3G pitch at Stranraer Academy. I totally get that it's not 100% linked to premises as well, but it's one example where we will continue to try and divert young people away from any antisocial behaviour, which ultimately includes the consumption of alcohol. Moving forward, in terms of serious and organised crime, Police Scotland are committed to tackling serious and organised crime at national and local levels. That includes a lot of the work that we do in licensed premises round about drug wipes that we are continuing to do. Again, there's no complacency there. You do have substance misuse, unfortunately, in licensed premises. We believe that's a national issue, and we will continue to work with our premises licence holders and our partners to educate and enforce if necessary, which would be on an intelligence-led basis for that. So just moving forward for the year ahead, we will continue to work in collaboration. We'll continue to look at peak times where we think there's risk in between. So festive periods, summer periods, nighttime economies over weekend. We will continue to engage with all of our premises, provide advice, provide any training necessary, and work with our partners to try and make Wigtownshire as safe a place as it can be, which we believe we are in quite a good place in Wigtownshire in general. So to conclude, I'd like to thank you all for your continued support at all the board hearings. We're adapting to new ways of working, we're embracing it, and we are hoping that we can continue to provide these reports, which in general is a very positive picture about the hospitality industry and the licensing board for the Wigtownshire area. Thank you very much for taking the time to summarise the report, and I'm happy to take any questions at all from the floor.
Thank you, Hugh. Members, have we got any questions? Councillor Inglis?
Sorry, that's me. Yeah, thanks for a really positive report, Hugh. I think the one that stands out for me, and I mentioned this at a behavioural meeting yesterday, was the youth football and how you've dealt with that in Stranraer. And that collaborative working, I think, is really important. You know, and I think that's something that we're going to build on and will build on as communities. I know that we're doing that in Newton Stewart through Jackie's move to combat antisocial behaviour, and I think that's really positive, and it's good to see that. You know, there's a lot of stuff on social media, as you know, that it's just utter rubbish, and it's a really difficult situation for police and social works to deal with. But when you look at this and you see that collaborative work, and I know it's not directly to do with licensing, but it does have a licensing element to it. So really appreciate that work, Hugh, and you can pass on my thanks, and I'm sure everybody else's thanks to your team.
Thanks for that, Councillor Inglis. Hugh?
Thank you. No, thank you, and that's why I was at pains to go through that part, because at first glance you might think, well, that's not a licensing kind of remit, but it actually is, because it's about a wider awareness of harm that alcohol can continue to do, and I will certainly pass on all of the positive comments here. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Councillor Hagman?
Yeah, no, thanks very much for the report. I think, yeah, Wigtownshire's, you know, it is a great place to live and work and play, and you know, I think that's reflected in some of the comments that you've made there today. So, you know, really appreciate that. I'm conscious of the introduction that, you know, in terms of the timing, that, you know, the report is brought as and when is we're able to, essentially. But I am conscious that within a week we're going to be in 23-24, and this is 21-22. So we are quite a way back. So do we always get this a year after it's relevant almost? Because I'm just conscious the last paragraph says that, you know, we look forward to the year ahead. We look forward to safe 22-23. Well, that's over with next week. So it's just when would we be looking to get that 22-23 report? And also, you mentioned there about developing the nighttime economy plan. Is that something that Police Scotland are looking to develop, or is that something that you're looking to develop in partnership with, you know, with the licensing board, or is there any input that we can offer with that one? I've got another point, but I'll maybe just pause there for me. Thank you.
So thank you. They're all really valid questions, and I'll answer your first one about timing of the next year's report. We've actually drafted next year's report already. It's in draft format, as you can imagine, because we'll just get to the end of this year. To probably speak in general, Wigtownshire year to year does not have drastic changes and trends. You know, I know the country could change, and Wigtownshire's not immune to national trends. What we do is we draft the report. It then goes to policy, our policy unit for liquor licensing. It will then go through the force executive, and then came back. It probably shouldn't have been as late. I say it shouldn't have been that you just happened to be the last board so we could have maybe fitted it in before to another board. So I would prefer to maybe I would probably prefer to be giving you the next next year's report, maybe in 6 to 8 months' time, as opposed to right at the end of last year. So it's not lost on me that I'm providing a 12-month out-of-date report. That's one of the reasons, that was one of the bits of research I did, because I thought one of the questions that you a really legitimate question that you all had was, well, how's the last 12 months been? You've just told us about the previous year. The last 12 months in terms of criminality and recorded crimes in premises is a very similar position to the 12 months preceding that. I will look at seeing when we can get the report a bit quicker, because I do accept that it should be more relevant to the time that I'm presenting, and I'll concede a bit of that. Personally, I've just been a wee bit bound by when it comes back from my policy unit as a finished document.
Thanks for that, Hugh. Councillor Hagman, does that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that. I think everybody is working with such timescales. I think it's just if we get it a little bit earlier, if there are any issues, it allows us to be reflexive on that one, and we can then take any actions or support you if need be. But, you know, thankfully there are no issues. Just in terms of the nighttime economy plan, and maybe if you could come back on that one. And in terms of the data, and really appreciate you, I think you said 37 incidences that we're expecting in the next report.
Just for clarity, sorry, that's not published numbers. It's an indicative, probably, trend that the recorded crimes for the last 12 months have got to be similar to this month. I'm not saying 37 is the final number.
No, I appreciate that. No, thank you, Hugh. I think just in future, and I appreciate it sits within your policy unit and it needs to be signed off, but is there any opportunity to get some sort of understanding of where those figures sit within the region and nationally, and whether they almost, I mean, obviously they're just a number, and whether that can be put into a percentage, so we can then actually have an understanding of, well, where does Wigtownshire sit within Dumfries and Galloway, and where do we sit within the national picture, because it just adds a little bit more meaning to the figures, because otherwise we don't know, are we doing better, are we worse, is it very safe, is there an issue with alcohol and licensing premises? I don't think there is. I would put that on record, and it's a very positive report, so I really appreciate that. And my final comment is, we have got a youth council, and whether there's any engagement that can be done through the youth council. I know there's mention of working with youth services, and I would hope that they're highlighting the youth council, because we have 2 representatives in each of the wards, so there's four youth councillors across Wigtownshire, plus obviously the members of the Scottish Youth Parliament. So it's how we engage fully with that. But no, I really appreciate you coming today and the report, so thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of nighttime economy, your first point, each area within Police Scotland, and obviously within the Fries and Galloway division, has to have a plan for how we deal with nighttime economy. Now, that plan can't look the same everywhere, because it has to be bespoke to what the risks are to the area. So in terms of the Wigtownshire, your board area here and this board area, we identify very much, it doesn't take any sort of analysis, but we identify that weekend, evening times as the time where there's more footfall in licensed premises. We then have a plan tailored to that, where that we would try and ensure that there is the right amount of people at the right places at the right time, providing a presence. That could be within the premises, or it could just be generally within our town centres, or it could be mobile as well, with mobile capability for our areas that are not basically within the more rural areas out with the main towns of, say, Newton Stewart, Wigtown, Stranraer. We still need to get around a lot of these other premises as well, and the risk that these premises may bring to the local road network is in that as well. So we have a staffing model that with the best will allows us to do that. We also try and be intelligence led as well, that if we have premises where there's been any sort of incidents the previous weekend, we ensure, as in the likes of today or Friday, that we are documenting the premises that we want inspected and checked to make sure that, you know, that we're making best use of the best value the police officers that we've got. So there is a plan, they know where to go. So for example, in Stranraer at 2 o'clock in a Sunday morning, we want police officers in that town centre to keep the public safe and to work with the premises staff as well. So it's not that complicated what the plan is. It's about high visibility, it's about engagement, it's about informing, and it's ultimately about crime prevention. It works well, and we'll always look to improve it. And again, we do work in partnership with LSOs, and the LSOs do come to premises with us as well to give a bit of joint advice. So when I refer to the nighttime economy plan, that's really what it is. It's a lot of yellow jackets being seen and ultimately making our public feel safe and protecting vulnerable people for risk at harm.
Thank you, Hugh.
No, I really appreciate that. Just in terms of the data, is there any way to influence that data for the next time so we can actually get where we're sitting regionally and nationally?
Yeah, so I've asked that before, and if you can maybe just excuse that we probably don't like that kind of league table type scenario, but safer places than others. But I could certainly caveat a lot of commentary here that the Wigtownshire board area is certainly not got a higher crime rate per se per head of population than anywhere else in Dumfries and Galloway. It paints a very similar picture to other like areas within Dumfries and Galloway of a similar size. So for me, very similar to Annandale and Eskdale, Stewartry board area and the Nithsdale board area. We don't have a major spike in crime in the licensed premises. And to give you reassurances as well through the area commander, if we did have a real issue in licensed premises and a real trend of criminality and a risk to public safety, we would ensure that you, as elected members for that area, you would be specially briefed if there was a major issue.
Does that cover everything for you, Councillor Hackman?
I think so. I think the comment about Youth Council was just a comment as such, but no, really appreciate your time today, Hugh. So thank you very much.
I can't come in about Youth Council, and I probably think it's probably something I will relate to the community teams for Stranraer and Newton Stewart, and to ensure that they are consulted, and certainly that there'll be a lot they can provide to our collaborative approaches.
Thanks for that, Hugh. Katie, I actually agreed with the timeliness of this report when you raised that in the beginning. It is quite a gaze into the past when you look at it now in 2023. But I have Councillor McCarman.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Hi, Hugh. Thank you very much for taking the time to come and present this report. Just a very quick question, and it's based on conversations I've been having recently. So in terms of it and it's with preventing the sale of alcohol to youngsters, what I think it's for my understanding more than anything, how big of an issue is it in Wigtownshire? Because as far as I can tell, it's not. And what is the process when you attend a licensed premises, be it a pub or a supermarket? What happens in the process? So if someone sells alcohol to an underage, if you like, or buys it for them, how do you get to know of that process? How do you get to know of that incident, if you know what I mean? So like I say, it's purely for my own information, because I don't understand how it works. So if you for example, a supermarket has sold underage alcohol to underage kids, what is the process there? Are you able to explain it a wee bit, just for so that I understand? And so there are two questions there after me mumbling on. So what is the general feel of kids being sold or consuming alcohol who are underage, and what are the consequences of that, and what is the process of the police attending these the sales, if you like? Thanks.
Over to you, Hugh.
No, yeah, no, thank you. And again, it's a really legitimate question, because, you know, as police and as parents, it's a concern for us all. I think you slightly asked something before it. Do we have an issue with what we call proxy purchasing, which is quite a vague term for me, but I would say in the general, you know, it's not a major issue in the Wigtownshire area, in terms of volume, in terms of police being made aware of it, recording, investigate a lot of these. We don't have the data that tells us it's a major issue. However, I think that everyone will know it's not an area at all where we can be complacent round about that, because it is a risk. We have had national campaigns, particularly for that this year. We have done engagement stalls all around the region, and we have done social media campaigns round about the risks of alcohol being sold to young people, and all of the issues that it can then bring in terms of antisocial behaviour, criminality, and ultimately harm to the young person for their own health. To educate a lot of youths as well. That's what a lot of the schools work is as well, about harm reduction. We have an officer based within the Alcohol and Drugs Partnership, where we provide lots of material for that. In terms of how do you become aware of it, I would only be speaking hypothetically, but we would mostly become aware of this type of scenario if either it was police officer observations of somebody they know to be underage buying alcohol, or we received information from a parent, maybe after their child's told them someone's getting alcohol. As an offence under the Licensing Scotland Act to purchase alcohol on behalf of a person under the legal age of 18. And the process, if we became aware, we would record that offence, we would investigate it, we would gather witness statements, we would prove the young person was under 18, we would need to prove the sale within the licensed premise, it's mostly off sale, supplement it by maybe CCTV, and ultimately we would need to get witnesses to that alcohol changing hands between the person over 18 and the person under 18. So that's the process of it. It's not, I'm not saying it never happens. I'm not saying it's not a common thing for us now. However, we are not complacent over it. We support all the national campaigns. We continue to educate youngsters, and we continue to, when we're briefing officers, to go into off-sale premises, engage with them, engage with the staff, ask if they've got any issues, ask if they've got any issues of youngsters hanging around, and see if we can identify it. We've done other things in the past that we've obviously we're not doing at the moment. We've done previously bottle marking schemes in the Wigtownshire area. That was also very successful. There's no immediate plans to bring that back because it's not intelligence led to any issues, but that was a scheme where when we were recovering bottles, we were linking it back to licensed premises and then educating and trying to discover how it came into the hands of young people. So I've previously delivered that in Chief Constable's reports to this board as well, but we don't have the problem profile at the moment for bringing that back because there's obviously various situations we need to go through until we get to that. That was quite a long answer. I'm just wondering if that's answered everything that you had for that.
Yeah, Chair, through you. Yeah, absolutely, Hugh. I know it's not a one-size-fits-all response, but just very quickly, and again, it's just because we're having this conversation. So I was in a scenario quite similar to what I've just kind of described, whereby it was a couple of years ago, whereby I was in a fuel station, and in front of me was a gentleman waiting to pay for a substantial amount of alcohol, which I thought in itself was a bit strange. Anyway, that was fine. And then he left, and then once I had paid up and whatever and left, I then went on to see him give this alcohol to kids who were clearly under age. So I went back to the fuel station to tell the cashier, if you like, that had happened. So and the reason I'm asking is because I don't know if the process is clear for licence holders or checkout folk or whatever, because she just kind of looked at me as if to say, oh dear, and that was it. So I suppose it's just everyone that works with alcohol and sells alcohol, are they aware of what they should be doing after that and what should have happened in that scenario? No, I'm not trying to get anyone, is to say anyone was wrongdoing. I mean, I should have maybe went to the police, I don't know, but that was my line of thought. So I'm just thinking, people who are selling alcohol, are they aware of how to bring this to the police's attention? Should they have? Because it's a really grey area for me, certainly understanding. So I just wonder if it's something that everybody's clear selling alcohol is aware of.
Yeah, so obviously we can't get into individual incidents on this. When we do the national campaigns, part of it is education to off-sale premises staff about the law, what the offences are and how the offences are committed. That's also a big piece of work with Julia been there as well. That's a big piece of work that LSOs and police do as well with off-sales about the offences and the signs to look out for. In that scenario, Police Scotland, when any crimes are committed at all, or you feel a crime may have been committed, we always encourage us to be contacted, the circumstances related, and we would then make an assessment about recording and investigating. Ultimately, if we would look for cooperation from the staff. There's two scenarios. We wouldn't expect premises to contact us if they have knowingly sold to young people, because they would be the suspects for the offence. But if a premises have sold alcohol to an adult, then getting into the hands of young people, we would be encouraging phone calls from premises. We would investigate that. So we encourage any reports of that, if there's clear criminality, for us to be notified and investigate it. And we'll continue to work with our partners to educate premises staff.
Thanks for that, Hugh. Jackie, I've got Julia coming in, but just before, I believe that for every member of staff that sells alcohol, they have to do a minimum 2-hour training, and there's a workbook on that as well. And pretty much all this information for the member of staff on how they should go about their business and go about serving alcohol should be in that, and that should be covered. I don't know if that's what Julia was going to come on to. I think she's nodding her head. Julia?
Thanks, Convener. Yeah, Councillor McCarman is making a good point, and anyone that's involved in selling alcohol either has to have a personal licence or they have to have the mandatory 2-hour staff training. So we in Dumfries and Galloway ensure that the mandatory 2-hour staff training is evidenced by way of workbook or an online course or something, rather than just having a signed form saying that the training's been done, so that we can actually see that this has been carried out. So the staff member that you're referring to, it's really disappointing that she didn't seem to know what to do about that, because at the very least I would have expected her to record it in an incident book or a refusals, well, no refusals because she didn't refuse, but an incident book, maybe report it to her head office, and obviously pay closer attention when that customer came back in to try and buy alcohol, because that should have been a red flag. We do check all the staff training when we go round licensed premises, and also speak to staff about proxy purchasing. It is a difficult one, because quite often there is no signs, but in those circumstances, it would have been good if staff could have been more aware that there was people hanging around there to maybe get the alcohol when the customer came out of the shop. I was involved with the bottle marking scheme that we did across Stranraer area, which myself and police visited all the off sales and got them on board, because initially there was a reluctance. They thought that they were going to be blamed for this, you know, if these bottles turned up and had been traced back to their premises. But we did explain that's not what the exercise was about. It was to identify where these bottles were coming from, because they could have been a legitimate sale. Person over 18 bought them. There was no red flags to the staff member that served the alcohol. However, obviously the alcohol got into the hands of the young people. So I did feel myself it was quite a good initiative. It did result in persons being identified that had been involved with proxy purchasing. But it is labour intensive, obviously, and there could be other priorities for the police. But yeah, that was my comments. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Julia. Just on the back of what you've raised here, Councillor McCarman, I'm going to ask Caroline, are we as a board able to give any kind of direction that we would like? A bottle testing, for example, what Julia just described there, are we able to give a direction that we would like that to happen, or is that out of our gift?
Thanks, convener, for that question. In relation to actually giving a direction, I would suggest you don't have the legal power to give a direction, but obviously in terms of your partnership working, you do have an excellent partnership working with the police and other agencies. So my own thoughts are that it would be perhaps a collaborative approach in terms of partnership working, rather than actually, you know, beating with a stick and attempting to have a legal power to give the direction. Does that answer your question?
That's absolutely fine, Caroline. Thank you very much. Hugh, I'm going to bring in quickly and then back on to Councillor Hagman, please.
Yeah, I would just support that as well. That I would also say that if we are running campaigns like that, it would really need to be intelligence led to a real problem that we have. So that bottle marking, proxy purchasing, engagement, they are all tactics that's available to us should, you know, should we have a real issue with antisocial behaviour, youths, street drinking, associated crimes of violence, damage to property, thefts. These are all things we can look at. I'm not saying that we live in a crime-free society, nowhere near it, but the report I've presented and the projected report for next year does say that we're in a reasonable place, and for the reasons that Julia said there about the cost, the resourcing from it, it's about proportionality for that at the moment. Taking that away though, I do accept that we still need to continue to educate our premises staff, and we need to try and have the right police at the right place at the right time is the message we've got. But it's always something that, as partners between us, police and council, we can always pick up the phone and consider these things should we need to escalate certain matters. So and hopefully I'll maybe just give you some reassurance as a board that we are never saying we're never going to do these things again. They're always under consideration, but it needs to be proportional.
Thank you, Hugh. Can I invite Councillor Hagman back in, please?
Thank you, convener. Yeah, no, it's not in relation to the report. It's just in relation to the previous discussion. And I appreciate this is maybe not the forum to raise it, but can I mean, as a board member, I am concerned to hear of the incident that has occurred. And can I just request that perhaps Councillor McCammon can follow this up out with the committee today with Julia, because I think it's incumbent on us that we actually have something marked down to follow this up, because if there's been a breach of the rules, then that absolutely must be followed up. So I would just really like some reassurance that this will be followed up out with the meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hagman. I accept that there may be a difficulty here for Councillor McCammon in the sense of her being a board member and witness this, and I would maybe suggest, Caroline, could you come in and give us some advice here on how Councillor McCarman should proceed?
Thank you, Convener. So obviously I'm not aware of this particular alleged incident. In terms of your powers on review, any person could apply to the board for review of a licence. And obviously if there's selling alcohol to underage 18s, then that is a statutory offence, or if you're allowing it to be sold, you've also got a legal obligation to challenge 25 as a condition of your licence. If you're lucky enough to look under 25, show ID to show that that you're 18 plus. So there are a lot of kind of like possible kind of issues arising here, but I mean, obviously I don't know how long this alleged incident took place, etc. My own thoughts are, just because you're a member of a licensing board, you wouldn't necessarily be precluded from raising the matter with the police. Again, it's an evidence-based approach. You would want to have the evidence, as the Police Scotland, Hugh McComb has said today, you know, whether it's CCTV, etc. Hearing of that alleged incident is very, very disappointing, of course, because every staff member, unless you're the personal licence holder, you have to have 2 hours statutory training, and included, as Julia, our LSO, has said, included in that 2 hours staff training are the offences under the Licence in Scotland Act 2005, of which there's focus on not selling alcohol to age under 18. So my own view is that the potential ramifications are quite onerous here, in terms of, yes, you do have a legal power to bring in review of a licence. However, it is an evidence-based approach, and I'm not obviously aware of this alleged incident, the timeline, etc. So moving forward, my own thoughts are, if that was witnessed, I think the starting point would to be to raise the matter with the police, because these are statutory offences, as well as breach of conditions, and also it's also pertinent in putting in peril the licence and objective of protecting children and young persons from harm. So on the face of it, you could have legal grounds for review of that licence, again, if there's the evidence-based approach. Does that assist?
Thank you, Caroline. Councillor McCarman, would you like to come back in?
Yeah, I've got absolutely no issue following anything up. It was, however, a good couple of years ago. Also, no one is saying that this particular staff member didn't follow procedure. What I did say was she looked a bit baffled. So I don't know whether she did go back to her boss and follow procedure. She may well have did. So, you know, I'm happy to do whatever I need to do, but, you know, bearing in mind it was a good few years ago, and she may well have done what she was supposed to do. She didn't sell to underage. She sold to an adult, who then went on to provide the alcohol, who I witnessed give to underage. So that's the scenario. I was merely checking I had done everything that I should have done, and how that my question was about how staff are trained, basically, and you've answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCarman. We seem to have got into a wee whirlwind on this one issue, so I'm going to bring Julia in briefly, and then Hugh in briefly, please, and we'll try and sum this up.
Yeah, thanks, Convener. It was just to say, if any of the board members have any concerns about licensed premises like that in the future, or do witness something like that, please just get in touch with me, and we can take it forward on a less formal approach than the police, because, as you say, actually wasn't any offence committed by that staff member, as the person was over 18 that bought the alcohol. It was just more around the awareness that it was a proxy purchase. So please just get in touch, anything at all in the future.
Thank you, Julia. Hugh?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a final point from myself for Councillor McCarman. I will be in contact and we'll decide to make an assessment of this out with this forum and see where we take it from there.
Okay,
I'll be in touch.
you.
Thank you, Hugh. Councillor McCarman, did you want to come on?
No, just said a wee thanks there.
That's terrific. Thank you very much then. So, members, my laptop has restarted and updated during this time, so I don't actually have my papers in front of me at the moment, but from my notes, I believe that was the last item. And I've had... Oh, Caroline?
Beg your pardon, I'm just interjecting to assist convener. It is indeed the last item, and in relation to the Chief Constable's report, you're just being asked to receive the report and note its terms. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Are the members happy to note this report?
Happy to note with thanks.
Thank you,
Happy
Councillor.
to note.
Thank you, Councillor McCallum. So, members, that is us for the day. I have no other competent business. Thank you very much for your attendance and participation today. We had a good debate. Thank you.